Yo, what's up, guys? How's Requiem here, and we're just gonna go over the deck that we're gonna take to locals this week. I did take Dragon Roll to locals last week, and you pretty much saw how that went. Not insane performance, but also not bad either. We had to play in pretty much every game, but we just sort of fell short when it comes to actually winning. So I thought I'd take sort of a favorite deck of mine that's also sort of this new version that I have. It's heavily based off of Webb's cards list that he's been playing in playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Properly. I'll link that in the description for you guys to go check out. It's a much more in-depth series than description of how the deck works and whatnot. So I'll link that down below. But let's just go over the deck and see what I'm going to be taking to locals. So the list has 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons. I'll go with one of them in Platinum because it's really cool. I want the QCR of this one. One Seahorse. It's cool because you can play around the combo that plays around Nib uses this card. But again, I think Nib is kind of falling off. But we'll see what this does for us. 3 Sage and 3 Maiden. You obviously need 3 of these. If you're playing like something else, like Primite stuff, you might be able to get away with 2 Sage. But otherwise, you definitely want 3. That's mainly all like the Blue Eyes split monsters. You don't really need Jet Dragon that much anymore. Because Detonator is not as insane. You might still want to play it just for Mitsurugi stuff, so that you can prevent your board from getting blown up. But again, I'm just testing this for now, and if it comes up that I need Jet Dragon, we'll chuck it back in here and see what happens with it. We have 3 Wishes, which can be searched by 2 Bingo Machine. I do have a 3rd one. We might bump this to 3 if we think we need it. But I've never really I've found myself drawing both and then discarding this off Witches most of the time. Again, I don't expect Witches to resolve at all, but I have a plan for that. We will see that in a second. And then, of course, the 1-of spells, you have the 1 War. I get to play 2 of this, but it would clog way too much. The 1 Field spell, still on the 1 Majesty. You can get both pops in this deck pretty often with it. So it's just nice to have, to be able to pop stuff, because of stuff like Malice is really weak to removal and whatnot. Of course, the True Light to get off Maiden. And that's mainly the Blue Eyes cards. Now, sort of off to the secondary surprise engine that we have here. So this is a Blue Eyes deck, but we're also playing Red Eyes cards. We're playing 3 copies of Black Metal Dragon, a Darkness Metal Dragon, which is kind of cool, and we're playing the Metal Morph cards for the extra Omni Negate. And I will show you guys just a brief combo about what this can do. But essentially, it does the same thing as the Primite engine, of course, without, sort of just does the same thing as the Primite engine without, the Quick Play Drill Beam, which is kind of insane. But you could swap this out for a Primite engine if you want. If you like these non-engine ratios, you can definitely swap this out for a 6-card Primite engine. So this will be like 3 Barrel, 2 Load the Load, and 1 Drill Beam. Or if you wanted to just cut like a piece of non-engine to go up to 3 Load the Load, that would be fine as well. But yeah, this is just the engine I'm playing because I happen to like this engine, and I think it's really cool. And that was really most of the deck, other than the Prosperity that's in here, as well as the Magnamut. You could play these, you could not play these, you could bump some non into 3. I just feel like mostly you are going to be banishing 3 off this most of the time. But if you really need to dig, you can try it. You can try to go for 6, but usually you'll only need 3 off of it. Non-engine, mostly just defensive stuff. Cross out Called by Talents. I think these should be in every deck that is meant to go first. Their going second abilities are a little bit weird. Of course, Called by is insane going second, so is Talents. But cross out, again, we'll turn it out, see if anything happens. And we're mostly, excuse me, we're mostly testing for the Monster Mayhem case tournament that's happening this weekend. So we'll see what happens today, and see what happens. We'll see if we need to change anything up. Main hand traps for 3 Ash and 3 Droll. I feel like these are pretty much mandatory. Ash because it stops mulch armies, and some hands. I will tell you how many draws you're going to give them with each of the mulch armies in the combo segment. But this is mostly just the generic stuff. Then Tuna Beaver, because you don't need to see too much of it, and also if you're made to go second, which you are most of the time, Beaver is just really nice to pair with something else, especially like Ghost Bell, and then the 1 Valor. just because you can search it, and it's a low impact hand trap, so you don't really want to draw multiple, because it's really not going to do much. For the Veiler Nibiru is pretty insane. Nibiru with anything is pretty insane. But again, we have more stuff in the side deck that we can put in here to sort of fortify your hand traps as points of interruption. So let's take a look at the extra decks. We have double Spirit. You do need 2 of these for this build, or I think or any build really. I feel like playing 1 is like definitely not enough, especially if it gets infirmed. You need to make a second one. Double Seal. This is specifically for this build and how you play around Nibiru. But you could play 2 of this. You could get away with 1 maybe in the Primat build, but I'm playing 2. And then I used to play the Selene Access Code and Lina, but it's just Mitsurugi is not light monsters, so it's a little bit harder to do, and you can't really make dark except with the Red Eyes stuff. So I figured just put these in here for some general utility if we need them. Again, only the Spirit locks them into dragons in this deck, so you're pretty safe going into these if you ever really have to. That's the Link monsters, and then for the fusions, you only really play 2. You're not playing Magia or anything crazy. You're just playing this thing to equip, and this thing because it can reset your trap cards, and also you can just make it really easily, and it attacks over a lot of stuff. I think that's just mandatory for any Blue Eyes build. For Synchros, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Still on the 2 Spirit and the 1 Big Spirit, and now we're also on the Black Rose Moonlight. Mainly because I wanted a more aggressive option to summon off of this thing. Aggressive meaning, like, I wanted it to do something on summon. So this thing just bounces on summon, and it's really nice to be able to have. Then I play Ancient Fairy. 1, it can summon your stuff from hand if you need to use your normal summon early. As well as the fact that sometimes going second, there's a card in the field spell in the side deck, and you're going to need to be able to get to that. And that's really cool. And I also play Snake Eyes Dragon, mainly because if you get Nibiru, you can actually have your extra normal summon of a tuner and go into this. And it's just an extra interruption, which is pretty cool. That's really the Synchro lineup. And the last card in the extra deck is just a Typhon, just in case you run into a crazy board that you just can't do anything about. You can just slam a Typhon on the field and pray. It's not like Master Duel where this is an auto-lose button. This actually does things in the TCG. So now let's take a look at the side deck and see what I am choosing to go into this event with. So this is my locals, and a lot of people like to play Malice at this locals, as you probably saw in the last video. So of course we're on the anti-Malice package with the 3 of Lancia, the 2 Thrust, and the 1 Sanctum. And then we're also sort of on an anti-Mitsurugi package for this. It's just 2 different Dimension Ground. And then of course we're on the normal stuff with the double Lightning Storm. We did put in 2 Dark. I did put in 2 Dark Rulers, just because I wanted something to go into actual boards with interruptions already on them. And again, if they have Mitsurugi stuff and you have like a hand trap in hand, you have like a ghost spell in hand, you just Dark Ruler, they try to bring it back with prayers and you can stop it. Which is really nice. It's nice because you don't need a second card to get rid of the food cell. Which is nice. The last cards I have just some Swallows in here because I didn't really know what else to put in here, and I have the Secret Village, which is actually really easy to set up in this deck because on your opponent's turn you're going to get a Spellcaster with your Maiden summoning itself back from the graveyard. So that's the deck we're going to be taking to locals, and we will see how it performs and if it is worthy of taking to the case tournament. Alright guys, before we get into it, we're just going to show you the sort of new combo that's going on with our build here. And all you really need is 1 black metal dragon to do this entire thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the black metal. We're going to normal summon the black metal and link off for the link 1. Of course, you're going to do your Chin Link 1, Chin Link 2, in whichever order you prioritize. Hit your field spell and your red MD. And then your red MD is going to banish your link 1, summon itself, and use its effect to summon your black metal dragon. Then you're going to link 2 into your Hieratic Seal. And you are now able to search trigger the Black Metal Dragon again, get your Red Eyes card, and then this guy can of course go back into the deck to set your Metalmorph face down. And then that is basically it for the Red Eyes portion of the deck. It's essentially just a 1-card Heretic Steel that is in replacement of a Primite Engine if you cannot have access to one. You can always activate this and get a Blue Eyes in the grave if you want to, but if you get Nibiru'd, this is where the combo fully takes off. So we've summoned 5 times by now. If our opponent has a dead Nibiru in hand and we pass turn like this, then our opponent just decides to Nibiru us for fun. This is what happens. So of course this will get tributed, and you will have your Nibiru token right here. And then the effect of Heretic Steel will trigger to summon a dragon from the deck, which is of course going to be your Seahorse. And then your Seahorse can link off 4. Of course, your second link 1. And your Seahorse is going to dump to grave your Maiden. And now you have full combo, because you can use a field spell to put a Blue Eyes White Dragon in the graveyard. And then, of course, use your Blue Eyes Spirit to get back your normal Blue Eyes. And then, of course, the Maiden triggers in the grave to summon itself. And then, you can, of course, tribute your Maiden to place your True Light face up. And now, you're basically just off to the races, because you can use your True Light to set really anything you want here. Depends on what else you have in hand. But assuming you go for Witches and you have other cards in hand, you can use Witches to discard. And then, of course, you will get access to Sage, as well as, if you want, you can go Majesty or Roar. I mean, you already had access to the Blue Eyes, so I'd say you could probably get access to Majesty. If you want the second, if you want the second pop, then you would have to go through Roar anyway. So it depends on what you have in hand. But I think the sort of normal thing to do would be go Majesty, just because you want the extra interruption against anything that will be weak to. I say if you're going against Malice, if you know you're against Malice, you can go for the Majesty for the extra pop, and I'll show you what the difference is. But now you just have an extra pop, and then you just go through the combo like normal. However, if you wanted the extra summon, then you could definitely go for the Roar, and we'll just run through that scenario real quick. Of course, you can banish this to get access to the Blue Eyes guy, equipped to the Blue Eyes, of course. And now you basically just have these 2 in hand. You can normal summon your Sage with your extra normal summon. And this will get access to pretty much anything you want. You can get access to your Valor. Or if you wanted to, or if you had an extra Sage in hand, you could also normal summon that too. And now you're basically free to do pretty much whatever you want. I'd say Roar. You can get your second Blue Eyes with Roar if you want to. And now you link these 2 into your Heretic Seal, your second Heretic Seal. And remember, you still have a Valor in hand, and you synchro your Nibiru token with your Sage into your copy of the Snake Eyes Dragon. And you can push Nibiru back with it now if you want, or you can wait for your opponent's turn to bounce it with Seal if they just try to go battle phase. And you also have a Valor in hand, and you have the Metalmorph trap. So let's say, for example, your opponent just sets a bunch of cards face down. Let's say you're up against Labyrinth. Then you could just use your Metalmorph to tribute your Heretic Seal and get your summon from deck. It can be a Magnamut, or really anything you want. But again, if you went for the Majesty, you just have an extra pop rather than the Heretic Seal. That's the basic Nibiru proof combo, and what the Red Eyes cards can do for the deck, and everything else is just normal, trivial Blue Eyes stuff. And by the way, here is just the sort of go first combo for whenever you have to go first post side deck. And this is sort of how to get access to your Secret Village. So again, we're going to start with no cards in hand. We're just going to pull. So when you need Bingo Machine for this combo, plus another card in hand to discard, we're going to get Wishes later, and 1 Sage. So, normal summon Sage. This is going to get you a Maiden. You're then going to link Sage for your Spirit Dragon. Spirit Dragon is going to get you the Field Spell, and then you can use the Maiden to get your True Light, and you're going to save True Light for later. Next, you're going to use your Bingo Machine to reveal 3. They don't have to have different names. You can actually just straight add your wishes. The wishes, discard another card in your hand, and you're going to get access to a Sage and a Roar. Next, you're going to activate your Field Spell, and you're going to be able to normal summon your second Sage, and use the effect to get a Veiler, or if you want anything else, you could do that as well. This is also a way to gain access to Synchro level 8 plays, because your thing you're going to do is activate your Roar, which is going to summon a Blue Eyes from your deck. You can't trigger the Maiden because you're still locked into dragons as of right now. Special summoning dragons, so you can normal summon your Sage, no problem. But now you're going to Synchro these away into your Spirit Dragon. You're going to tag out your Spirit Dragon for your Ancient Fairy, and if you would like to, you can use the effect to get back to Blue Eyes so you're no longer locked into dragons. You can use the effect Special the Veiler from your hand, and then Synchro into a level 8 if you wanted to. However, we do not need to do this right away. What's going to happen now is this intro is going to sit here for a little while. We're just going to use the dragon to be able to get back a Blue Eyes. And then that's going to trigger the Maiden in the grave to summon herself back. And then we can do sort of a favorite little play with this deck. We're going to be able to use the Mausoleum to target the Maiden to send a Blue Eyes, but then chain the Maiden to summon back Sage. And then, of course, your Blue Eyes will go to the graveyard, and your Sage will come back to the field. And then link your Sage. You can then link your Sage for the second link 1, which is what we're going to do. You can link your Sage for the second link 1, and then Synchro off for your second copy of the Spirit Dragon right here. And now is where you just use your Ancient Fairy to pop your Field Spell, gain 1,000 life points, and add your Secret Village to your hand, which you can just activate, and then link these two into a Heretic Seal. And then, of course, you haven't used your True Light yet, so you can use your True Light to get your Majesty set, which has both pops, because there are 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons in the graveyard. So yeah, that is the sort of go first combo. How to gain access to this. Of course, you're thinking, Hazard, where's your spellcaster? Veiler's in your hand. Well, during your opponent's draw phase, you're going to use True Light to summon Blue Eyes. Maiden will trigger herself to summon. And now you have a spellcaster with the Secret Village to be turned on, and your opponent now has to deal with the Maiden before anything else. Of course, you can also tag this out into your Omni-Negate if you don't want the Maiden to just get impermed and killed. Well, if it gets impermed, you know, you just summon back a Blue Eyes from the grave. But if you don't want your Maiden to just get popped or something, then, or banished by like a Malice Trap, you can just summon this to negate, and you also have your Heretic Seal bounce. And if you want to, you can play a sort of designated Heretic Seal target like a Sloth, or even like the Quacky Mirror that you saw in my Dragon Ruler deck profile. But I really feel like it's unnecessary. I feel like you have enough of everything else that you don't really need it, and then on top of that you have 2 pops and a Veiler in hand. All just from technically like 2.5 cards, which is definitely easy to draw into in this deck because it's 40 cards, and you don't really need to clutter it with 1 card sort of combo pieces. You do play a lot of 1 card combo pieces in here, but again, if you only statistically draw 1 of them most of the time, it's not really that detrimental. So again, this is the Secret Village combo. And you do gain access to both of your pops as well. I mean, I might have to play a 3rd Bingo Machine if this combo is a little bit too good so we don't have to use this to gain access to wishes. But that's also something you can do if you had to just do this combo with Sage. You could do this combo with just Sage by itself, but you wouldn't get the trap. You would have to burn this to get your wishes. That's the combo. And we'll see if we can put it to practice at all today.